Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thanks so much for tuning back in. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite combos that I use to throw pretty much everything in here. And yes, this is the same combo I use in how to spool a baitcaster video. Now, a couple things before we get started, guys. First off, I want to apologize for not posting last week. I was super busy meeting people like this guy and representing my local bass club at the Chicagoland Fish Expo. Another thing you guys probably noticed is that the channel name changed. We're now Jadu Bassin. Now, the reason I call it Jadu Bassin is because I actually used to have a small lure company called Jadu Lures, and I really like the name, so I think I'm gonna stick with that. Now, I've tried out a bunch of different rods to throw chatterbaits. When I first got started, I used to use something really heavy that wasn't really suited for the fish I was catching because it would just rip giant holes in their mouth. On the other hand, I tried glass rods as well, but it really just wasn't letting me pull the fish out of grass. I fish in a lot of ponds and lakes that have thick grass in it. It's really important to me that I'm able to rip the bait out of the grass. Now, I've been through a couple different rods trying to experiment with what's the best chatterbait rod for me. And I started out with this guy actually. This is an X-Pride B, the 7.2 heavy. I got a Corrado, what is this, 150 MGL in the 8:1 gear ratio. Now, there's a couple reasons why I shouldn't have chose this rod. At first, I thought it was really cool fishing chatterbaits with this rod is because I had so much power. I was able to just instantly get a good hook set on the fish. What I started noticing is that they would have huge gaps in their mouth whenever I would hook set them. And it took me a while to realize, but I was using braid first of all, alongside a really stiff power rod. Now, one really critical thing to note is rod power. Now, both of these rods, I got the heavy X-Pride over here and I got the Champion XP over here. They're both rated heavy. There's a big difference between heavy in company A versus heavy in company B. As you can see over here, this is the Champion XP. There's a little bit more bend in this rod. It bends right about up to the midsection of the rod. Versus in the X-Pride, it's got a little bit of give in the top, but then as you go down, it pretty much stops right over here. It's just solid backbone. And I'd say that's probably about 30% of the rod. For comparison, this is an X-Pride B7.2 medium heavy, and it's got enough give, but then right when you get right about to the midsection over here, that's where it gets the full backbone. And this is pretty much where I'd rate the Dobbins rod in terms of the give of the rod. For some reason, I feel like the Champ XP just slingshots that bait a little better. And this comes in handy a lot of times when I'm fishing in the wind or I'm trying to skip something underneath the dock. So it's really hard to try and find that balance between power and give. And that's why I really feel like the Champion XP really came in handy. Another issue with this combo is that this reel is an 8:1 gear ratio. And for chatterbaits, you want something a little bit slower just because you don't want to pull that chatterbait away from the fish really fast. You still want it to be a reaction bite, but at the same time, you don't want to be driving a Ferrari in front of bass's face to the point where he can't even catch up to it. So that's why having a 7:1 gear ratio is a little bit better. I'm able to do a couple different techniques on this combo as well. So having a 7:1 gear ratio is pretty versatile. Now, Dobbins says that this rod can throw 1/4 ounce to 1 ounce lures. With that type of weight range, I'm really comfortable throwing pretty much any size of chatterbait on it. It's a heavy, fast action, which I kind of disagree with, and it can throw spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, senkos, horny toads, jigs, and small swim baits. So basically what they're saying is it's a do-it-all rod. Now, I get, yeah, it can do all that stuff in a pinch, but what I really like it for is first chatterbaits, and second, football jigs. Similar how to you want a little bit of give in your chatterbait rod when a fish sucks the lure in, you want that same give when you're fighting off a fish, especially when that fish's head shakes like that, when it jumps out of the water. It can throw that football head around a lot, and having a little bit more of give in your rod will help alleviate that, take that advantage away from the fish from throwing those hooks out. Now let's get into the reel. So one of the biggest reasons why I chose this specific reel, specifically a DC reel, I like chucking these chatterbaits out into the wind, and it helps with my dock skipping a little bit. I feel like the DC technology helps me backlash a little less. Although I've gotten pretty good at feathering the spool, it's just an extra bonus. This is one of my favorite reels that I own. Really love how everything's super easy to adjust. You got your brake settings right on the outside over here. You got your spool tension knob over here. And it's just so smooth. This is all I need right now. I love this reel. There's no reason for me to swap this reel out. Even though it's older, it gets the job done fine. Plus it's a 100 size spool, so I get to put a little more line on there, help me make those further casts. I even installed spool speed bearings. I highly recommend them. Scott from Spool Speed is super helpful and super nice. Always gives me great advice. Check him out, I'll put the link in the description below. Now the reason why I got braid on this reel is because, like I said earlier, I'm ripping this out of grass a lot of times. And having that braid just helps me rip through the grass even easier. This is 50-pound Power Pro Max Quattro. Yeah, I could get away with fluorocarbon, but I just feel like with the places that I'm throwing it into, I'd have to just retie a lot, which is doable, but when I'm trying to be efficient, especially when I'm on the water, I don't like to have to retie too much, and having that braid really gives me that extra confidence. Now you're gonna ask, what if you're fishing really clear water? The fish are gonna see the braid, aren't they? Honestly, I feel like the fish don't even care sometimes about the line, but if I do need the invisibility of fluorocarbon, I'll tie on a fluorocarbon leader with an FG knot. Now let me be clear about something, guys. You do not need one rod for one technique. Like I said earlier, I like throwing my football jigs on this as well, and honestly, I've thrown so many other things on it. Texas rigs, spinner baits, you name it. I like to call this my chatterbait specific rod just because I throw them so much. I've had so much success on them. As of right now, this is my favorite chatterbait combo. It's always been there for me when I need to get a bite, and I can cast it far distances even in the wind. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and feel free to drop a comment down below on what you guys want to see next. But there you have it. That's my combo for chatterbaits. Let me know what you guys throw chatterbaits on. And also, if you have this combo, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys like throwing on it. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Until the next video.